Welcome to Sadir's legacy. Today's story is one of pride, humiliation, and revelation, the kind of truth that reshapes everything in a single heartbeat. Steam curled off the metal pipes overhead, fogging the narrow concrete room. The showers in the Navy SEALs barracks were always loud, laughter, arguments, water pounding like rain on steel. But this time, the laughter carried something sharper. Private Daniel snorted, turning to his buddy. "You see the new recruit? Pretty face, soft hands. Bet she cries before the week's over." Beside him, Ortega chuckled, slapping a wet towel against the wall. "Yeah, man. What's next? They'll be sending models to fight wars." The rest joined in, mocking and jeering, their words echoing in the steam. In the far corner, a figure stood quietly, towel over her shoulder, hair dripping, eyes fixed on nothing. She'd been through worse. Far worse. Lieutenant Commander Elise Raines didn't flinch. She'd learned long ago that silence was stronger than rage. She turned off the tap, the metallic squeal cutting through the laughter. Every man in the room turned. "Hey," Daniel smirked. "Don't take it personal, sweetheart. SEAL life ain't for everyone." She met his eyes. Calm, steady. "We'll see." Her tone carried weight, cold, measured, like a blade hidden under velvet. She walked out, water trailing behind her feet, leaving them in stunned silence. Ortega blinked. Who the hell does she think she is? But none of them had checked the assignment roster yet. None of them knew what was written beside their new team number. Commanding Officer, CMDR, Elise Raines. Morning hit hard on Coronado Base. The Pacific wind tore across the training yard. The men gathered in formation, sun flashing off the silver pins on their uniforms. Sergeant Cole barked orders, but even he looked uneasy. Word had spread that their new CO was arriving today. From across the yard came the crunch of boots. Elise walked in wearing her combat uniform. Cap low, dog tags glinting. Every movement was precision, controlled. The men straightened instinctively, though a few still whispered under their breath. Cole turned. "Attention!" The entire line stiffened. Elise stepped forward, eyes scanning each face. She stopped at Daniel's recognition flickering in her gaze, then continued. "I'm Lieutenant Commander Elise Raines," she said, voice carrying clean through the wind. "I don't care where you came from, what your rank is, or what you think you know about me. Out there, only two things matter. Your discipline and your will to survive." And for the record, her eyes cut back to Daniel's. "I've led missions deeper than any of you have trained for. You think you're SEALs? Prove it," a murmur rippled through the line. Daniel's smirk vanished. Ortega swallowed. The others stood rigid. Elise turned to Cole. "Sergeant, take them through Hell Week drills." Full immersion. The order dropped like a hammer. That afternoon, the ocean chewed at the shore like a beast. Waves slammed into the trainees as they crawled through sand and freezing surf logs on their shoulders, muscles shaking. Elise walked among them, unmoved. "Move. You want it to be SEALs? Earn it," she shouted. Daniels gritted his teeth, water choking his throat. He glanced up, expecting her to be shouting from the safety of dry land. But she had stepped into the surf, lifting one end of a log, shoulders locked beside Ortega. "Get it up," she barked. "You drop it, you start again." The men stared. She wasn't just giving orders. She was living them. When they dove into the cold black water, she was there. When they dragged the raft across the mud, she was at the front by nightfall. Exhaustion coated the air. The team collapsed in the sand, panting. Elise stood before them, hair slicked back, uniform drenched. "Now you know," she said quietly. "This isn't about gender. It's about grit. You fight beside me, or you don't fight at all." Silence. Respect started to replace doubt, but the test had only begun. 2 weeks later, the unit was deployed for live training in the Sierra Nevada range, simulated hostage rescue under hostile conditions. Their instructor cadre watched from drones and observation posts. The terrain was brutal. Cliffs, cold, and ambush zones everywhere. At 0300, Daniels and Ortega moved through dense pines, whispering into comes. Raptor 2 in position, Attic answered. Then a soft voice. Raptor 1 copy. Maintain eyes on target. Wait for my signal. It was Elise, calm as ever. Moments later, gunfire ripped through the valley, blank rounds but deafening all the same. Ortega dove for cover. Daniels cursed, "We're pinned." Negative, Elise's voice came through. You're surrounded because you forgot your rear flank. Then, out of nowhere, she appeared through the smoke. Low, fast, weapons sweeping in perfect arcs. She neutralized the enemy drones with simulated fire, barking quick commands. Daniels' flank left. Ortega, watch your six. Her precision was surgical. Her tone, ice and fire fused together. By dawn, the mission was complete. They'd extracted the dummy hostage with 0 casualties. When the observers debriefed them, Commander Scott, one of the toughest in the SEAL program, nodded. Best team performance this quarter, he said. You can thank your CO. Daniels didn't speak. Neither did Ortega. They just turned toward Elise, who was quietly wiping sand from her weapon. That night, as they sat by the campfire, Daniels approached her. Ma'am, he began awkwardly about the showers. Elise looked up. The firelight caught the faint scar along her jawline, a mark from an old mission overseas. Forget it, she said simply. No, ma'am. I mean it. I was an idiot. Didn't know who you were? Lisa's gaze softened slightly. You weren't supposed to know who I was? Respect doesn't come from rank, Daniels. It comes from what you do when no one's watching. He nodded, humbled, but war doesn't wait for lessons. 2 weeks later, they were flown to the Middle East, classified joint op with Task Force Shadow. Intelligence suggested an insurgent group was planning to hit an Allied convoy. Their job, intercept before it reached the city. The desert heat was merciless. Elise moved with quiet authority, directing teams from the front. Raptor team, eyes open. We're closing in. Daniels spotted movement near the ridge. Contact, 12 o'clock. The air exploded with gunfire. The convoy ambush was already underway. Elise dove behind a truck, returning fire, shouting orders. Ortega flank right. Daniels, smoke the left corridor. Her voice cut through chaos. She wasn't just leading, she was in the fight. Bullets snapped past, dust rising in violent bursts. Daniels threw a smoke grenade, covering their advance. Elise sprinted through it, sliding beside an overturned jeep. A local soldier was trapped beneath, bleeding, terrified. She knelt, checked the pulse. Stay with me, she whispered. You'll make it. Daniels saw her drag the man out under fire, shielding him with her own body until cover teams reached them. By the time the firefight ended, the convoy was safe. No SEAL casualties. The insurgents scattered. Back at base, command reviewed the body cam footage. One by one, the men who had mocked her stood silent, watching their commander move like a force of nature, precise, fearless, utterly human, the same woman they'd laughed at in the showers after debrief. Daniels found her sitting alone near the helipad, watching the sunset bleed over the dunes. You saved my life out there, he said quietly. She didn't look up. You saved mine first. That makes us even, shook his head. No, ma'am. You earned more than that. You earned our respect. Elise turned, studying him for a moment. Then make sure the next person who walks through that door doesn't have to earn it the hard way. Daniels nodded. Yes, Commander. Word spread fast through the teams. The one skeptical platoon now spoke her name with pride. She'd become the kind of leader the SEALs whispered about, the kind who didn't shout for respect, but drew it by action. Months passed. Missions came and went, but one night, while briefing a new batch of recruits, Daniels caught sight of a young woman standing nervously by the lockers. He smiled faintly, remembering. Don't worry, he told her. The commander's tougher than all of us, but she's the reason we're still here. Inside the gym, Elise watched from the shadows, arms crossed. A quiet satisfaction settled in her chest. She didn't need their apology anymore. She'd already earned something greater, a legacy. Later that evening, alone in her quarters, she opened a letter from command, an invitation to lead the next phase of SEAL integration training. She stared at it, thinking of the long road that brought her here, the laughter, the humiliation, the endless proving. She folded the paper, smiled faintly, and whispered, "We're not done yet." Outside, the sea crashed against the shore, relentless, unforgiving, beautiful, much like her, and somewhere deep in the barracks, where laughter once echoed cruelly, silence now carried respect. She was no longer the woman in the showers. She was their commander, and they'd follow her anywhere. This is Soldier's legacy. Where true strength isn't shouted, it's proven when the world turns its back and you rise anyway.